So we are in effect. It is Monday. We are now down to two. You dig? We are down to two. Two teams we down to now. We had 16 about 2 months ago to start. We down to two today. That's where we at. And it's a good thing. So dope that we down to two. So dope that we are down to two teams. Love that. I am here today, right? I'm here today to talk to you about the NBA Finals. That's what I'm here to talk about. I'm here to talk about the NBA Finals. Not just the NBA Finals. I'm here to talk about what this means. Where are we? Where are we with these guys? It's good to see Kyrie Irving back in the finals after all this time. I won't argue that. Definitely good to see Kyrie Irving back in these finals. It's good to see Luka in the finals, finally. So I think it's dope to actually get two teams in the finals where some things are going to get settled, as opposed to if we had two teams in the finals and we already knew that one was just going to run away with it. I already feel like with the Boston Celtics, I mean, they had the best team all year. They had the best team in the regular season. They basically walked to the finals, which I thought that they were going to do, and they did it anyway. And now we in a space where there's some doubt about them, and rightfully so, because of what you seen 2 years ago, right? And rightfully so because of what you saw 2 years ago. And because of what you saw 2 years ago, there has to be some doubt about the Boston Celtics. Now, you haven't seen them on the biggest stage, right? You haven't seen them on the biggest stage perform great. The last time we saw them on the biggest stage, Jason Tatum was not very good. No, he wasn't. He was good in the playoffs, right? He was good in the playoffs. When we got to the NBA Finals, the lights were clearly too bright. He was not prepared for that. No, he wasn't. And I feel like in this particular final, one, some things are going to get settled, and two, I feel like I can't see the same guy that I saw 2 years ago, and I don't think I am. I don't think that I am. It's interesting that the Celtics aren't that good at home in the playoffs. Like over the last couple of years, they haven't been good in the playoffs at home. They've been actually better on the road. And that doesn't concern me. I just feel like watching this Boston Celtic team as a unit, I feel like they're just better. I do. I feel like they're just better. And not only are they better, they're better in almost every aspect. As a unit, they're better. So here we are with the Dallas Mavericks, and rightfully so. I saw their path to the NBA Finals. I thought it stopped with Minnesota. I did. I thought that Minnesota would just be too much for them. If I'm being honest, I thought Minnesota would be too much for them, and I thought that the winner of the Minnesota-Denver series was the Western Conference champion winner. I couldn't have been more wrong about that. I could not have been. So here we are today, right? Here we are today in June of 2024. We got the Dallas Mavericks, who handled the Clippers in round one. That series actually went longer than what I thought it was going to go. I thought that they were going to beat them in 5. I didn't think that it would take 6 games to beat them. I thought it was just going to be 5 games, but it ended up being 6. Okay, fine. And then they run up on the Oklahoma City Thunder, who they handled in 6 games. Kyrie Irving was not great in that series. Neither was Luka, but they were good enough to beat the number one seed. Now, the fact that Oklahoma City was a bunch of kids, I mean, that goes without saying, but they still did it. They still did it. PJ Washington knocked down open shots. Daniel Gafford gave them the minutes that was necessary. Derrick Jones Jr. was great in that series. And Luka got it going later on in that series. So I don't think that was a series where I can look at those two teams and go, this was a pretty convincing victory. Now I knew that they were going to beat them, but it wasn't like what was going on with the Celtics in the East. Nah. But when they got to the Western Conference Championship, I thought that's where the train stopped. I just felt like Minnesota's defense overall was better and it could combat Dallas's offense. Only it was the complete opposite of that. The complete opposite of that. This Minnesota team had no answer for that Dallas team. Everything that they threw with them, Dallas had a counter. And Minnesota all season long, right? Minnesota all season long, which I think is pretty. Man, it's something that we kind of look past, right? I feel like it's something that we kind of look past, and I mean because we looked past it, because we looked past it. I've looked past it in particular. I was blinded by what they did against Denver. And I just did not think that Minnesota would falter that way. But they did. Dallas was clearly better than them. It wasn't a question. I was 100% wrong on that. 100%. Dallas was clearly better than them. And it wasn't, I don't think it was a question of whether or not Dallas was better than them. I don't think it was a question. So here we are in the NBA Finals. But how did we get with Boston? You know, Boston beat the Miami Heat, destroyed them in 5 games. It took a ridiculous effort from Miami in game 2 in order for them to win 1 game, which I have yet to see that kind of effort again. I have yet to see that. I don't know what this is in my layout with Denver Storms back and Cavs done without Mitchell. I don't know why that's here. I'm going to see if I can fix that. I don't think that I can, but this has nothing to do with this doesn't have anything to do with what I'm trying to do here. Nothing. I don't know why I don't know why that's in here, to be honest with you. I have no idea why that's in here. And I'll leave it. I'll figure it out. So moving forward, we are now in the NBA Finals. They end up beating the Miami Heat. They end up handling the Cleveland Cavaliers. Then they end up handling Indiana in 4 games. Now, because they don't blow these teams out, there's doubt. There's questions of whether or not they belong here. They had the easiest road to the NBA Finals, right? They had the easiest road to the NBA Finals. In the process of them having the easiest road to the finals, their best player didn't play the best. So there's questions about whether or not they got the goods. And so you couple in what happened 2 years ago, right? You couple in what happened 2 years ago with their road to the NBA Finals this year. Of course, there's going to be some doubt. Sure, I get that. That's why I feel like these NBA Finals, that's why I feel like specifically these NBA Finals, a lot of things I feel like are going to get settled. That come this summer, we got to stop this logic. or we have to have a different conversation. For example, if the Celtics win, we got to start having a different conversation about them. If the Mavericks win, I already think Luka is a top 5 player. I feel like the conversation with him gets louder, right? I feel like the conversation with him gets louder if they with him being the best player in the world if they end up winning. I feel like the conversation gets louder with him than what it already is. Now, I'm an advocate of building up a resume to become the best player in the world, right? I'm an advocate of that. So if you get to a point, you don't just become the best player in the world overnight. Just because you win the NBA championship, that doesn't mean you're the best player in the world. There's some things that lead up to you being the best player in the world. So, for example, winning the NBA MVP, playing at an MVP level multiple years, in the process of playing at an MVP level multiple years, making deep runs in the playoffs. This kind of stuff is what makes you. I feel like this is the kind of stuff that puts you in the conversation for being the best player in the world. So Luka has played at an MVP level, right? I feel like Luka has played at an MVP level for multiple years. In the process of him playing at an MVP level for the last for the last 3-4 years, in the process of him playing at that level, right? So I think in 21 he finished right outside the top 5 in league MVP votes. In 22, he finished top 5 in league MVP votes. Last year, he finished a little bit lower. I think he finished, and they didn't make the playoffs, but he finished 8th. And then this year, he finished 3rd. So he's been playing at that level, right? He's been playing at minimum. He's been playing like a top 4, top 5, like an MVP. He's been playing at that level. They've been to the Western Conference Championship twice in the last 3 years. And now here they are. And now here they are in the NBA Finals. So if they win the NBA championship with him playing at that level, I still think the Joker is. I still feel like Joker is the best player on the planet because his resume led up to that. And then winning the NBA championship, I just don't think it's undisputed anymore. I feel like he's still the best player, but there's more conversation now about this guy. There's more conversation now about Luka. There's more conversation now about not Giannis, but there's more conversation about Luka. Because if I look at Giannis currently is under indictment off the strength that over the last 2 years he's been out of the playoffs in the first round and he's been injured. Same thing with Joel Embiid. He's actually going backwards. So those guys I feel like are under indictment when you're talking about being the best player in the world. So I know I'm 100% confident that if the Celtics, who I think are going to win the NBA championship, if they win the NBA championship, I don't think Jason Tatum is the best player in the world if they win the NBA championship. However, I do think that there's a different level of respect that has to be put on him if that happens. You can't talk about him like he's just, well, he had this and he had that. No. Nope. Especially if you don't see the same guy that you saw 2 years ago. That's not going to work. I can't do that. Right? I can't do that. So, with that being said, I think Boston's best defense is their offense. I feel like Boston's best defense is their offense. I feel like them constantly putting Luka in action. And I don't mean just give the ball to Jason Tatum and let him go one-on-one. Get him switched on to Luka. Give the ball to Jaylen Brown and let him go one-on-one. No, make him guard. Make Kyrie Irving guard. Put those guys in action where they have to guard. Now, they could do the same thing to Boston because Boston is a very switch-heavy team. And with Boston being a very switch-heavy team, right? With Boston being a very switch-heavy team, the Mavericks are gonna hunt mismatches. And the mismatch that I do not like is I do not want Al Horford. I do not want Al Horford on Luka. I don't want that matchup. No. So the Celtics have to do everything that they can to protect Al Horford. Now, how do they do that? They got to be conscious of switching when it comes to Al Horford. Because even though Al Horford is a dirty work guy and he was an all-league defender, I think that was in the past. I feel like that was in the past. And in the process of that being in the past, he can't defend like he used to. So him having to deal with Luka in switch action, we have to treat Al Horford the same way the Warriors treated Curry in 22. We have to protect him. And please don't give me the logic that, Al Horford doesn't need to be protected. Yeah, he does. 38 years old, become a D&3 guy now. He's not nearly the perimeter defender that he used to be. No, he is not any of those things that he used to be. So him getting switched on to Kyrie Irving, which is the mismatch that they're going to hunt because they're a very switch-heavy team. Him getting switched on to Luka, that mismatch they're going to hunt because they're a very switch-heavy team is a recipe for disaster, right? It's a recipe for disaster, and I'm not trying to hear that. I'm not. So you have to fight around screens, Drew Holiday. You have to fight around screens, Derek White. You have to fight around screens, Jason Tatum. We can't switch as much with Al Horford in this particular situation as we would if he was younger. If he was younger, I bet I can get with that. If he was younger, I could definitely get with that. But the fact that he's not, and having Porzingis back is going to be even better. Having Porzingis back is even better because this is the dynamic that they didn't have. Right? This is the dynamic that they didn't have. And the fact that the fact that they now have not only a stretch 4, but they got a stretch 5 too, who can also play on the box and play in the mid post. That gives the Celtics a dynamic that they didn't have, that they did not have. Now, I know all the narratives about, Kyrie Irving was in Boston and it didn't go well. Kyrie Irving was in Boston and he hated it. He was going through a whole bunch of stuff when he was in Boston and he just didn't want to be there, which would explain why he left. All right, I could get with that, sure. And I'm not buying the idea that when he comes back, they're going to boo him. Well, so what? Right? So what? But with that being said, right? With that being said, he still has to go out and play his game. And I think Kyrie Irving is in a different place. I think it's going to be difficult, right? I think it's going to be difficult to slow him down. I think Drew Holiday is going to do as good a job as he can, right? I think Drew Holiday is a great anticipatory defender. He's great at anticipation, beating guys to spots, great with his hands, physical. I think that he's going to do as good a job as he possibly can because Kyrie Irving is one of those players where once he gets going, it's it's pretty difficult to deal with him. It's pretty difficult to deal with him. So Drew Holiday has proven in the past that he can slow a guy down. He slowed down Chris Paul. He slowed down that attack from the Phoenix Suns, making the pickup point higher, keeping the ball away from Chris Paul when he got off the ball. That's how you throw scorers off their rhythm. I feel like Oklahoma City, I don't really think that they did. I don't think that they did that much more than. I don't think that they did that much more than Kyrie Irving was just. He was out of rhythm a lot, and the reason why he was out of rhythm because one, they did a good job doubling him, and they left PJ Washington open and dared him to make shots. I feel like that's a recipe for success too. I do. I do feel like that's a recipe for success. And the reason why is because, teams like the Celtics who have in between guys, great utility guys, if you make Derek White make shots, if you make Drew Holiday make shots, that's not going to help your unit. Because Derek White makes shots throughout the course of the game. Drew Holiday has been in this position before. So he knows what it takes in order to get there and stay there. With that being said, to make PJ Washington make shots all night long, to make Derek Jones Jr. make shots all night long, I tip my hat to them. I just tip my hat to them. You guys got to make shots all night long. I want to get the ball out of Luka's hands. I want to be physical with Luka. Luka wants to get downhill. Kyrie Irving is a lot bigger than what people give him credit for. Kyrie Irving might be listed as a small guard at 6'2", but he's a lot bigger than what people give him credit for. A lot bigger and a lot stronger than what people give him credit for. So because of that, it's going to be hard to stay in front of him. Right? It's going to be hard to stay in front of him. So with that being said, do what you can to get the ball out of his hands. Right? Do what you can to get the ball out of Kyrie Irving's hands. Not only do what you can to get the ball out of his hands, be as physical as you possibly can with him. Be as physical as you possibly can with him. And don't let them off the hook defensively. Don't let them off the hook defensively, because if you let them off the hook defensively, that's an aspect of their game that they're going to capitalize on. Because if you don't make them guard, now what you're doing is you're giving Luka the ball back and you're letting Luka play wide open. And you're not trying to tire Luka out. You're not trying to be physical with him. You're not doing any of those things with him. And if you don't do that, you're doing a disservice. You're doing a disservice to your unit. I feel like getting Porzingis back really bolsters the Celtics front line. I can't say this enough, guys, when I say that they have to do a better job in protecting Al Horford. They got to do a better job in protecting Al Horford, because if they don't, this DN3 guy who is who he is now, right? This DN3 guy who he is now is going to get exposed, because you got that live wire in Lively, who sure is a rookie, but he doesn't look like it. You got that pogo stick in Daniel Gafford, who Luka's throwing the ball to the rim, and he basically putting his face in the rim. How is Al Horford going to handle this? How is Al Horford going to handle these guys? Now they're rotation guys, right? The Boston Celtics rotation is going to be key, because when I look at when I look at Cornette, Hauser, Pritchard. Just those three guys alone. I think Brissett's going to be involved in this also, right? I think Brissett's going to be involved in this postseason, but Pritchard, not just Pritchard, Cornette, all of these guys, I feel like these guys are going to be instrumental in the aspect that if you get 18 to 20 from your rotation guys, on top of what Jason Tatum, on top of what Jaylen Brown are going to do, on top of what those guys are going to do, that's going to be big. I think that that's going to be huge. So if you look at the Celtics rotation with Brissett, Hauser, Cornette, Pritchard, I think that I honestly think that overall as a unit, I feel like they're just better than Dallas. The idea, when I listen to you guys talk to me about the Dallas Mavericks, I'm not hearing anything except the fact that Kyrie and Luka are just better. So if that's true, you got the two best players in this series, right? You got the two best players in this series in both Kyrie Irving and Luka. If they lose, is this a choke job? If the Dallas Mavericks lose this, is this a choke job? Or is that just another excuse? I'm asking a simple question. If the Dallas Mavericks lose this, because I'm listening to you guys talk to me about Kyrie Irving and Luka, so essentially they are the best two players in this series. So if they lose, because they're the best two players in the series, is this a choke job? Do the Celtics, does Jason Tatum, if they lose, do they get taken off the hook? Even though I don't think that they're going to lose. I think that they're going to win. Because all I hear, not just from you guys here, all I hear is Kyrie. I don't hear anything legit outside of Luka and Kyrie Irving are just the best two players left. And if they're the best two players left, they should win this thing. Because we've seen teams with the best two players win it. We saw it. We saw it in 20 with Anthony Davis and James. I think we saw it in 21 with Giannis and Middleton, with Drew Holiday. I think we saw it in 22 with Joker and Jamal Murray. They were the best two players in that series. 100%. Keep going back a little bit further. So when I'm combating the logic that it's Kyrie Irving and Luka Doncic. So if that's the case and they lose, this has to be a choke job. It has to be. They cannot not lose, and it's not that. Because if the Celtics lose, it was on a bomb squad. What I mean when I say that is we can't have it both ways. This just doesn't work with me. It doesn't. It does not. It doesn't work both ways. You have to pick a side. I feel like you have to. And I feel like this Boston Celtic unit as a crew, I feel like this Boston Celtic unit as a crew, I feel like they're better. Right? I feel like they're better as a unit than the Dallas Mavericks. I feel like they're better. And I feel like they can combat what Dallas has. We talk about Al Horford or Porzingis being foul prone. So is Daniel Gafford. There's plenty of games that I watched them in the Western Conference Championship, or I watched them in the Oklahoma City series. We had to come out of the game because of foul trouble. Excuse me, because of foul trouble. So because of that, right? So because of that, you can say the same thing for them. You can say the same thing for Daniel Gafford. You can say the same thing for Derek Lively. The exact same thing. So I look at this. I look at this Boston Celtic unit, and I just feel like everything that they need, I said this already. Everything you need to win the NBA championship, they got it. So I'm not listening to Kyrie Irving and Luka. I'm not listening to if Jimmy Butler was healthy. I'm not listening to Donovan Mitchell and Jared Allen being the best defensive player on their team, which I don't think he is. I think Evan Mobley is. I'm not listening to none of that. And the reason why I'm not listening to none of that is because I look at this Boston Celtic unit and I look at champions of the past, and everything that's necessary to win it, you have it. Everything. I'm not buying this whole Luka, Kyrie are the best players in the series. I can appreciate that. I 100% can appreciate that. We got the formula too, though. We 100% have the formula in order to win. We have the formula. The unit that's been put together here in order to win. They got the formula. So because they have the formula, there are no excuses, none whatsoever. You should beat these guys. Everything necessary for you guys to win the NBA championship, you have it. You need buckets? Check. Do I need perimeter defense? Elite perimeter defense? Check. How about box work? Check. How about dirty work guys? Check. How about vets? Check. All of that's necessary to win it. We have it. All of it. So because I have all of that, and we've had the best team in the league the entire season, won 64 games, your best player, who some people will say he faltered this season. He had a worse year. Yo, he was down a bucket. He went from average 30 to 27, right? It wasn't like he went from averaging 30 to 21 or 19. It was one bucket. That's it. And why is that? That's because I'm playing with better players. Playing with better players. It's called sacrificing. So everything that's necessary to win it, you have it. So I'm not trying to hear if the Mavericks win it or if the Mavericks lose, this was a choke job. I ain't listening to none of that. I'm not. The Boston Celtics are the best team in this series, and they should win the NBA championship. 100% they should. What up? Yo.
Chilltown, what's going on with you?
What up?
Nah, I'm chilling, man. How you doing today, brother?
Running good, brother. Running good.
Yep. I was having a bit of a back and forth with my boy Cottage 81 in the chat. What's up, Big Cottage? No, I never met you before, man. But nothing but respect over here, man. But I think a lot of people are kind of getting it a little misconstrued when it comes to Boston because I think they just look at Luka and Kyrie from the perspective of what they can bring as far as offensive playmaking is concerned, which I can acknowledge that. But to me, the biggest outlier for this series, if particularly if Porzingis comes back healthy, is what does Kyrie and Luka do defensively whenever they're put in those switches and they're left to guard the guys like KP and Al Horford in the post. You know what I mean?
In action.
So when you have guys defensively like Derek White, Drew Holiday, Jaylen Brown, and Jason Tatum that can switch on their end defensively to be able to pick up on guys like, the PJ Washingtons and the Derek Joneses, and then having to deal with Kyrie and Luka.
Right.
If Kristaps is healthy, I do believe Kristaps can handle Daniel Gafford and Derek Lively. And even if it's a tag team thing where you have Kristaps dealing with Derek Lively and then you have Al Horford dealing with Daniel Gafford,
Yep.
I think they're and lies a mixture where I can't see them going into the post with guys like Derek Lively and Daniel Gafford to kind of expose, Drew and Derek White. But I can see Boston going in the post with Al Horford and Kristaps to expose Kyrie and Luka. And I think to me, that's going to be kind of where I'm going to watch, particularly games 1 and 2, to see what are going to be like the adjustments from Jason Kidd to see how he kind of, comes up with the game plan to defeat that in a way.
Sure. I could get with that. And on top of that, with Porzingis, who this Thursday, it'll be 5 weeks So over a month since he's played, right? Over a month since that calf strain. And I'm comfortable. I'm comfortable with him going out there. I'm comfortable with that. If it was a couple of weeks, I wouldn't be comfortable. But we're talking about 5 weeks. I'm comfortable with that. Yeah,
And he's
I'm good with that.
yeah, and on top of that, they're going to be home. And after this game 2 isn't till
Sunday.
Sunday, so that gives him an extra 3 days, two
Yep.
days of another break. And then from there, that which game 2 is also going to be at home. And then from there, it's going to be the travel to Dallas.
Right.
So even though he's going to, come back after those 5 weeks, he's going to play, get some days off to kind of, see how he maneuvers, see how he feels. Then game 2, he's going to play, see how he feels, see how he maneuvers. And then the break in between there from game 2 to game 3. So I think just the more time he gets while actually still playing is going to help him immensely. But for me, that's the key to what I'm looking at in this series to see
Sure.
how well those matchups go. You know what I mean?
Yep, I can get with that. Absolutely, brother. Good to talk to you. You know where to find me at.
Yes, sir, Chill.
Absolutely, my man. Good stuff. What up?
Hey, how's it going, OG?
What's up, brother?
I was watching that JJ Redick and LeBron podcast the other day, and they brought up an interesting thing about how the secondary kind of players like Derek White, Naz Reid, how impactful they've been in the playoffs as opposed to in the past, and how those kinds of players have been in the past year, and especially in this playoffs, have been so impactful on teams winning series. I just wanted to know your perspective on that and how it might play in the finals with Boston and Dallas.
Well, I've always felt like those other guys are the most important because as good as James is, as good as Jordan is, as good as Tim Duncan is, as good as those guys are, I need these other guys to do their job. So when you don't put restrictions on guys like Derek White and you allow him to be who he is, which is a utility guy, like he's not coming out just jacking up threes and taking bad shots. He's not coming out turning the basketball over.
Yeah.
He does what's necessary for that unit. So if they need me to guard for 25 minutes, I'm guarding for 25 minutes. If I got it going that night and my shot is falling, then I'm going to do that. In Boston, the other guys are going to take heed to that, and they're going to do the other stuff. Like they're going to guard more, which is also going to enhance Derek White's game. So when you got utility guys like Naz Reid, when you got utility guys like Derek White, you got guys like that who do a plethora of things, who do a lot of different things. It's not one thing that you could pinpoint with them. That's why they need to be on the floor.
Yeah, like all moving parts need to work in order for a machine to operate properly.
Yep.
And that's the same. Like, do you feel like that it's changed in the past 30 years, or do you think it's always been that way, or did you see a drastic change in the last little while from, say, like the 90s, 2000s? Do you feel like there's been an evolution in that kind of space of players growing lately?
Well, of course, because I don't think that the specialists, and we got long ball shooters who are specialists, no doubt about that. But I don't think that the specialists in the playoffs plays as much as the utility guy like Derek White. You have to be able to do a number of different things. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to play.
Yeah.
It's going to be difficult for you to play if you can only do that. That's why guys like D'Angelo Russell struggle in the playoffs. And the reason why is because he's only good for one thing, and that's getting buckets. If he's not getting buckets, there's really not much else that there's really not much else that he does. So when you got a utility guy like Naz Reid, who can not only knock down the open three, but he can also rebound. He can also get to the bucket as a one-on-one guy. He can also
get in those places that they can go into places that the other places don't want to go.
Absolutely. It's the same logic with Derek White. When you have a guy like that, that makes you indisposable. So when you have guys like that on your unit, that makes your unit even better.
Yeah. Do you feel last part of the question? Do you feel Boston or do you feel Dallas has more of those kinds of players to play an impact in this final? I feel like Boston does.
I feel like Boston has the overall better unit. I feel like they got the better unit overall, and I feel like with this unit, everything that's necessary, like I just said, everything that you need, you're cooking a meal, and everything that you need to cook this meal is right here. If this meal turns out bad, I don't want to hear that you didn't have this, you didn't have that. Yeah. Everything, you got the ingredients, you got the seasoning, you got the stove, everything that you need to cook this meal and for it to come out correctly is right here. Cook the meal. So
You just got to utilize it properly.
that's it. Good to talk to you, Lee.
Thanks for your time, buddy.
Yes, sir. What up?
What up, Chill?
What
Hey,
up?
all the pressure's on Boston, right? They're the favorite. They won 64 games. You know what I mean? Dallas came in kind of limping into the playoffs. They were up and down all season. My thing is Porzingis, right? So their rotations are really light. Boston's rotation's light. Granted, you know, they're 5 with Horford, Tatum, Brown, White, and Drew. That's a great
Right.
5. But here's my thing, right? How is Al Horford going to defend Luka and Kyrie in a pick and roll, Joe? That is my only thing.
Want that? I don't.
Yeah,
I don't
they are
want,
going
I
to
don't
abuse
want
that.
Al
That's why
Horford switched on.
Porzingis.
I don't want him switched on
Lord.
Kyrie Irving. I don't.
Oh,
I don't
Lord.
want that. I
That's
do not
bad.
want. I
Very
don't
bad.
want Luka. I don't want Al Horford switched on to Luka. I don't want that. And
Yeah.
when I think about the Golden State Warriors in particular, you have to protect him. You have to. You have to protect Al Horford, just like the Golden State Warriors protected Steph Curry, where
Yeah.
Andrew Wiggins was getting around screens, where they were doing everything that they could to hunt Steph Curry. Nope, we're not letting you get to him. We're not. And I feel like the same logic has to go. The same logic has to go for Al Horford. We're not letting you get to him. Not you, Luka. Not you, Kyrie Irving. No, we are not letting you near him. Absolutely not.
Yeah, so Porzingis is the X factor to me. His health and him. To me, you know what's crazy, Chill? In my opinion, I think the matchup that will decide this series, all in all, will be Derek Lively versus Porzingis.
I think he could take advantage of Derek Lively. I do. I think he, as a rook, I should be able to win. The same logic I felt like with Cat and PJ Washington. If you're looking at this on paper, Cat should have won that matchup
every single time.
Cat should win that
single
matchup.
time, you should. 80% of the time, when I saw PJ Washington on Cat, I'm thinking 80% of the time, Cat should get a bucket.
He should win that matchup.
He should win.
Same logic.
The
exact same logic with Porzingis. Even coming off injury against a rookie in Derek Lively, you should win that matchup. You should.
Absolutely.
Yes,
One more real quick thing. Kyrie is going to have he's going to have some, and I love Kyrie. To me, him and Kobe are the most skilled players ever. Kyrie is going to have his hands full with Drew Holiday and Derek White, man. Woo.
Can we get to the bottom of this?
Kyrie is going to need to be excellent for them to win this series. He needs to be excellent. He needs to have a great series.
I need to understand where you at, Nick, when you say the most skilled scorer, the most skilled
as far as just
handler?
in totality, everything as far as scoring, like the Kyrie, remember that running left hand hook he hit against Denver, bro?
Right.
From like 13, like that's absurd, bro. That was absurd.
So he's the most skilled scorer you've seen.
Him and Kobe to me are the two most skilled scorers, like pure scorers, like that. There's no weakness, like one dribble, two dribble, reverse pivot, fade away.
Footwork is incredible.
Don't matter.
Footwork is incredible with Kyrie Irving. Sure it is.
Yeah,
I won't argue that. I just when I hear I can get with that. Absolutely, no doubt about it, yo. It's just that when I hear the most skilled, I feel like that's a real broad statement. You know, passing is a skill. Kyrie Irving is not a better passer than John Stockton. He's not a better passer than Luka. He's not a more skilled passer than Mark Price or Jason Kidd. No, he is not. He is not a better defender on the perimeter than Gary Payton. No, he is not. So when you talk, and these are skills that you develop. Now, if you want to talk about Kyrie Irving as a ball handler, I thought Kenny Anderson was the best ball handler that I'd ever seen until I saw Kyrie Irving. I have not seen a ball handler better than Kyrie Irving. Kyrie Irving's ability to finish around the rim. Now, if you want to say that, I can get with that. But in terms of him being the most skilled player, no. That I'm not doing. Nope. What up?
Can you hear me? Hello?
What up?
Chill, I think it's interesting that if Boston loses, they get a ton of slack. Tatum's not top 10. But if they win, nothing changes. If Dallas wins, Luka's the best player on the planet. But if Tatum wins and wins Finals MVP, nothing changes for him. I think that's crazy.
He's solidified himself in top 5 conversations instead of it just being it's a conversation. Even though I mentioned this earlier today, there are 6 guys in the NBA in the last decade: James, KD, Giannis, Luka, Joker, Anthony Davis. These are the only 6 guys in the last decade that make first team All NBA 3 years or more. Jason Tatum is in that class. But
and yet barely top 5 conversations.
Right. So I think it's interesting that to talk about him like that for a guy who has played at a high level for as long as he's played at this high level, and for them to win the NBA championship and he have a lot to do with that. Because what I'm not trying to hear is Jaylen Brown carried him. There's no way Jason Tatum plays terrible and they win this NBA championship. That's not going to happen.
They don't.
I can say that.
I think
we can get to the bottom of that right now.
When have you ever seen a player who makes high MVP votings consecutive years, constant years, and isn't talked about being on the high end of the top 10?
Because he played for the Boston Celtics. That's why. I told you this.
And he's light-skinned. He's light-skinned, too.
I ain't even on the light-skinned thing. He plays for the Boston Celtics. Take this Boston Celtic team, right? Take the tag Boston Celtic off it. Put Portland Trailblazers on it. They talking about Jason Tatum way different.
People don't like the Celtics organization, so they don't want to give him any more credit than they have to. So even if they win a champion, I guarantee you, when they win this NBA championship, people will be saying Jason Tatum won it because he's on a super team. I guarantee you, they're going to say that.
That down.
I guarantee you.
I'm shooting that down like a sniper working with the president. That's where I'm in the bushes. I'm putting 50 cal bullets in that. I'm not trying to.
That's crazy. Like they're going. I guarantee you, Chill. People will be saying that to you. He's on a super team. He should have won.
Like I said, I'm sitting on that building a half a mile away in the weeds, like a sniper, and I'm shooting that down. I promise you, I'm shooting.
Chill. I got one question for you though. I got into this argument with my one friend, and me and him were debating about whether or not Chris Paul is better than Kyrie Irving, and he says to me that passing is not a skill in basketball because it's just giving the ball to someone else. How do I convince him that it is a skill?
You don't have to convince him it's a skill. You shouldn't even be debating that. That's like saying that running isn't a skill when you're a running back. Passing is 100% a skill. You shouldn't even entertain that conversation. Because if it was that simple to just give the ball to somebody, everybody would be doing it. We wouldn't. He
said, and I quote, he said, I said that the reason Chris Paul is better is because I thought he was a better defender and he's a better passer. And he said, the only reason that Chris Paul is a better passer than Kyrie Irving is because he passes more. That's the only reason.
Well, wait a minute. So if that's the case, then James is a better scorer than everybody because he scored more. No, it's a little bit more than that, my man. No, that's not it.
Right. And I tried to explain that to him, but he kind of said, like, well, tell me, like, what is so difficult about giving the ball to someone, like giving the ball to someone else? Like, what's so difficult about that? And I said,
you have to understand. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I said, how about this? How about you try throwing a one-arm full court pass in transition in traffic and hitting it on the target and tell me how easy that is. Tell me if that's not difficult.
Well, first of all, that's the most difficult. Let's just talk about basic stuff like dribble entry. There are guys who are on NBA rosters who can't do a simple dribble entry pass into the post. There are guys who can't do that. They have a difficult time being able to switch it up with their weak hand and their strong hand to throw the ball in the post. There are guys who can't do that. There are guys who can't make bounce passes, situational passes. When you got a guy that's got it going, like how Russ used to get KD going, where he knew where KD needed the ball. He knew how KD wanted the ball, whether he was in transition or he was coming off a screen, whether he was coming off a flare screen or a curl screen, where he wants the basketball. That's a skill that you learn.
I tried telling him, like, listen, like, the reason it's a skill is because, like, particularly point guards, they have to know when to throw the ball, how fast, how much force they have to put on that ball, because if they throw it too slow, someone's going to steal it they're going to steal it out of the sky. And if they throw it too fast, their teammate might not be able to catch it in time. So I said, that's a skill. Like, these are things that you have to account for.
If it wasn't, everybody would be doing it, Jay. That's all.
True. If it wasn't a skill, everybody would be just as good as Chris Paul.
It's that simple. but they're not. So, all
You
right,
have a
brother.
good one, Chill.
Good to talk to you. Yep. What up?
What's up, Chill?
What up, brother?
I just want to talk on Tatum's career so far.
Yep.
I feel like he has one of the best careers in the NBA so far. My boy is 26, went to the finals at 24, while he beat KD and Kyrie on his way to the chip.
Swept them.
Everyone was ducking
Swept
them
them, by the way.
that year, swept them.
Mm-hmm.
Then went on to play the defending champs. He was down 3-2 in that series, dropped 46 on Giannis's head, came back and won that series.
Mm-hmm.
Then they went on and played the Miami Heat, took them 7 games, but still got past them. And people forget Marcus Smart missed games in that series and had a limp Robert Williams going into that series as well.
Mm-hmm.
Then he just ended up at 24, reaching the finals, and faced a different monster, which was the dynasty and the Warriors.
Right.
Then coming back this year, back in the finals again.
Mm-hmm.
And people forget also he's missing his third option, which is Kristaps. If any other team was missing that, we'll have excuses. Oh, they missing the third option. But no, he's back in the finals. Just averaged 30, 10, and 6 in the Eastern Conference Finals. My boy could guard 1 through 5, has handles, can operate, can score down low in the post, shoot the three. I might get some pushback when I say he could guard 1 through 5, but I see him have spurts
And
where he guard Bam.
he can definitely guard 1 through 4. He can definitely do that.
I seen him have spurts where he guards Bam and guards Miles. At least he takes the challenges. He doesn't duck, and now he's back in the finals. And if he hosts this Larry O'Brien Trophy and goes on to host this Bill Russell MVP, and then goes on to the Olympics, we're on the cusp of seeing something, a 92 MJ. I'm not comparing him to 92 MJ, but we're on the cusp of seeing something great. This
Yeah.
could be a Jason Tatum summer.
I'm not doing the 92 Jordan thing. Nah, we ain't going that far.
I'm not comparing, but
we ain't doing
it's
that.
something like that.
Well, what I will say is the narrative on him has to change. That has to. The narrative on him has to change. The 92 Jordan logic, no, let's kill that right now. We ain't doing that. No, absolutely.
Nah, I feel you.
No,
But we're on the brink of seeing something special at the age of 26. When he walks into that locker room, everyone gonna have to acknowledge him. Oh, this him. He's here. He arrived at 26,
Mm-hmm.
and as you said, 3 All NBA teams. Like, what are we talking about? What are we talking about? This man is really him.
I won't argue that. I won't.
That's all I have to say, Chill.
All right, brother. Good to talk to you. Good to talk to you. Yeah, I ain't doing that. But yeah, I can get with it. What up?
What's up, Chilton?
What up?
Man, I think I have some question regarding the matchups of this thing. Like, thing is, people are predicting way too much that this will go to 6, this will go to 7. And thing is, if Boston execute their game plan well, this thing could end in 5 games.
Goodbye.
This thing could handedly end at 5 games. But like if KP, JT, JB, and Drew and Derek White are in their A game, this thing could end in 5 games. And thing is, OKC have already given them how to beat Dallas. The map is hedge Luka hard and let Derrick Jones kill you. Derrick Jones, either DJJ kill them or what the hell that Michael guy that traded from Charlotte killed him.
There's PJ Washington. That's what you're talking about.
PJ Washington, yep.
Right.
Let
That's
PJ Washington kill them.
Mm-hmm.
That's their main ammo.
I'm
They
actually
will
more
live with
comfortable.
it.
To be quite honest with you, I don't hate that. To be honest with you, I don't hate that logic. I don't. I wish I could say I hated it. I don't hate it. I'm not saying that it's a recipe for success because, again, we saw they ended up beating Oklahoma City. But if we're gonna lose, I'll tip my hat to PJ Washington and Derrick Jones Jr. making shots all night. I'm good with that. I don't take issue with that at all. So I don't.
Only thing that I could see that is noticeable after World Series is that Dallas is way too good at getting easy dunks. Like
That's
through
because of
Gafford.
Luka. That's because of Luka.
That's because of Luca. And my thing is, if that thing become problem, then that could be the only cause of trouble. If Dallas is getting way too many easy layups, that could be problem for Boston.
And that's going to happen. I mean, that's definitely going to happen because Luka's going to get downhill. It's very difficult to stay in front of Luka. He's going to get downhill. That's why I said in the Minnesota series, I was blitzing Luka. It's basically like blitzing Tom Brady every down. Get the ball out of his hands. Make somebody else do it. I am going to live with Derek White. I'm not Derek White. I'm sorry. Derek Jones Jr., PJ Washington, Exum, Green, Derek Lively in the short roll. I'm going to live with them dudes making plays. Luka can't do it. It's got to be somebody else. It has to be. Because if it's him, he's going to destroy us. He's going to completely destroy us.
Like, the thing about this Dallas team is, like, outside of Kyrie and Luca, self-creator ain't there here. Like, someone who can create his own shot.
Right.
That entity is like whom? Tim Hardaway Jr., who is cooked right now. And another thing that I love about, only thing that I can, and like, do you remember 2022 Western Conference Final?
I do.
Like, the ingredient was essentially Andrew Wiggins, the rim protecting big through Kevon Looney, and versatile defender in Draymond. Boston have those ingredients.
Hey, man, we're going to find out. Good to talk to you, Killer. I appreciate you, brother. No doubt. What up?
What's good, Chill?
What up, brother?
Hey, man, before I get into this Maverick Celtics talk, I got one quick note. I was on here about a year ago. It was me, you, I forgot another guy. He's a Brooklyn fan. He be on here sometimes. And we was talking about how the Suns, when they acquired Bill, how everybody was overreacting.
Mm-hmm.
And I had said, hey, I'm going to compare this team to the Celtics. I mean, to the Nets. New owner come in, want to get all these star players, but they don't go nowhere. And now look where we are. You know, KD, first day of the season, I think he was turning 35, 36.
He'll be 36 next
year. Exactly. And they didn't have a true point guard. So it just goes to tell you, you can't just come into the league and just put pieces together and think that it's going to bring you a chip, right?
I think the super team era is over, to be honest with you. I do.
Exactly.
That LeBron James jumping on units, like KD jumping on the Warriors. I think that's over. I think I don't think we're going to see that anymore.
Yeah. And it was your boy Leaf. That's what it was, because he's a Nets fan. So to this Mavericks series, you know, I'm a Mavericks fan. I don't want to compare it to 2011, but I will say this, Chill. Boston is the better team for sure. If you know basketball, you know hoops. Brad Stevens did a great job building this team. The Drew Holiday trade is still, I can't believe they went down, but you know,
can you believe that, yo?
I'm telling you.
Please stop right there. Like, to get Drew Holiday for what they got him for,
bag of chips, bag of them chips,
and a cold Pepsi.
Yep.
It was one of them Pepsis that it wasn't even cold. I take that back. It was a warm Pepsi. What they got him for? This was almost nothing.
He is basically a perfect filler of what Marcus Smart was, but is better offensively, and you know he could find points when he needs to get it. But you don't need to do that on this team. He plays his role perfect, right? So I think the reason why I want to get on here, I think people are sleeping on the Mavericks role players a little bit. I understand people can say, oh, Dallas got the two best players in the series, which I kind of would say no, even though I'm a Maverick fan. I'm going to give Tatum that second hand over Kyrie. But I'm going to be honest with you. I don't think we beat Oklahoma City Thunder if it wasn't because Kyrie was not – he was a little bit of a shell himself.
He was not very good in that series.
Yeah, so we don't win that. We don't win that series if it's not for Derek Jones and PJ Washington.
Right.
You know?
Now, here's the difference, though, BD. In that series, not just in that series, your rotation guys, a lot of the stuff that they get is predicated on Luka creating offense for them.
Right.
That's why people look at Dallas's rotation guys like that. They're not like Nas Reed coming off the bench where we running stuff for him, we running action for him, right?
Yeah.
They're not running stuff like that. That's why people look at that. That's why people look at their rotation, Dallas's rotation guys. However, if you look at Dallas's rotations, when Luka is getting those guys in action, man, They are pretty difficult to deal with.
Absolutely.
They are pretty difficult to deal with. 100% they are.
And I think that's what kind of, Tim Hardaway in the beginning of the year was
get Tim Hardaway off the floor. Get Hardaway off the floor.
But
he's
hot and cold. Chill, just like J.R. Smith, and
No. I'm
telling you,
no way.
There's a reason. I know he had injuries, but chill. You got there's a reason. There's a reason why he ain't been playing. I mean, it's not even just matchups, but we playing Hardy, who's a second, third year guy off of G League Ignite that's getting PT over him. Like, I don't know if it's deep to where maybe Tim Hardaway Sr. done told Jason Kidd, don't put my son on the court, because I know there was a little bit something going on there. But
right.
But my main thing is, it's just like the 11 run. Dirk was great and Miami was the better team. But once we installed JJ Barea into the lineup, you had role players like Sean Marion, Deshaun Stevenson. I get that the stars are what headlines the finals, but we got to remember, the role players are very important. Dallas is not where they're at right now. Kyrie and Luka are special. Look at them last year. Their cast is not the same, which is why they didn't make the playoffs. I know it took them time to gel, but
right,
man,
if you look at what they did at the trade deadline, what Dallas did at the trade deadline, I'm thinking about teams who made trades in the past.
Yep.
Houston getting Drex at the trade deadline. I'm thinking about teams that have done things in the past. What have they done in the past to make their team better at the trade deadline? I don't know if I've seen something better than what Dallas did. And how much that helped not just Luka and Kyrie, but the whole unit.
I would say, I know, didn't the Lakers, I know they lost. I think 2007, is that the year they traded for Pau Gasol and they lost to Boston?
Yes.
I know that's something that I would compare to, but
in 2008.
Yeah, but especially the Gafford thing, because Dwight Powell was the starting center to begin the season. Then Lively
get Powell off the floor. He killing us. Get him off the floor. No,
I'm telling you. So shout out Nico Harrison. Shout out Brad Stevens. I think both GMs have been phenomenal this year, and there's a reason why both teams are in the championship. But I just want to tell everybody, I know we're looking at Tatum, Brown, Kyrie, Luka, but we got to look at the role players. And Drew Holiday and White are great, but I think people are sleeping on the Maverick players a little bit too much. And I know they can't create, and that comes off of Luka, setting them up. If they hit them wide open threes, I'm confident in Dallas.
All right, we're gonna find out. Good to talk to you, BD. I appreciate you, brother. Absolutely.
I'm in.
What up?
Yo, what up, Big Chill? Can you hear me?
What up? You hot?
Yeah, man. Hey, good to see you, man. Good to finally be on your show. Congratulations to you for your success, and shout out to your family, your friends, everybody across the world, all the people across the world. So, but let's get into it, Big Chill. So, look, we've been talking a lot about the. I'm a Mavericks fan first. I'm a little biased.
Yeah.
We've been talking a lot about the Mavericks actions and the pick and roll, and even a bit of the isolation situations that they'll be getting the Celtics into that could cause problems for them. And I know you guys are favoring the Celtics, but we're talking about the Mavericks offensive actions. So I'm just curious to what have you seen from the Celtics actions, and what type of actions do you think are going to give us, the Dallas Mavericks, problems?
Well, one, I like how the Celtics play in terms of their transition. I like how fast they play. Okay. Not only do I like how fast they play, I like how they hunt mismatches also. They're damn good at that. And I don't think that we talk enough. He's one of the more, I'm not going to say underrated, and because underrated it depends on where you have him rated. I think Jaylen Brown is one of the best transition players in the game. I think he's one of the better one-on-one players in the game. And the Celtics do a great job in putting him in action to get mismatches, just like the Mavericks do with Kyrie Irving, to set him up, to get him one-on-one with guys. I feel like they also do a great job in cracking the long ball, getting wide open shots. They also, in terms of switching, they get Kristaps Porzingis in that mid-range, and they get him in that mid-post. Also with Jason Tatum, they get those two guys in that mid-post where they hunt smaller guys, and they really capitalize on that. So I feel like, with the exception, I feel like Derek White, Drew Holiday, Kristaps Porzingis, Xavier Tillman. I'm thinking about rotation guys also. Xavier Tillman, Pritchard, Cornette. I don't feel like those guys depend as much on Jason Tatum creating offense for them as much as those other guys depend on Luka. Because what I need people to understand about Luka is the modern day Larry Bird. He's the modern day Magic, where I gotta eat something. I'm not gonna shut the door on him. I'm not. So I gotta there's something that I'm gonna have to live with. Well, that one thing that I'm gonna have to live with, I'm going to have to live with other people making shots. I gotta get the ball out of Luka's hands. He's gonna get downhill. He's gonna get to the rim. I gotta pack the paint. And I got to make sure that when he gets the ball out to guys like P.J. Washington, when he gets the ball out to guys like Derrick Jones Jr., when we're closing out high. We're not overrunning plays, and we're making those guys make shots. And if they make shots, my man, you guys are awesome. I'm okay with that. But what I can't have, scientists, is I can't have Luka 42, 18, and 13. We got no shot. We got no shot when that's going on. I can't have Kyrie Irving. I can't have Luka 42, 18, and 13. Kyrie Irving 36 and 7. We got no shot when he's doing that. We got no chance.
Right. Okay, exactly. Yeah. So like y'all were saying on PC, so the Mavericks offense is very much more so heliocentric, as you described it, to where the offense is predicated on Luka Doncic. Like, you're gonna have to wait for your opportunity, and you're gonna have to execute. So there's gonna be a lot of pressure in those moments. Exactly. Whereas the Celtics is a lot more equal opportunity. I think they're still running a lot of the offense that Brad Stevens implemented. A lot of good actions, probably even still since Doc. But now let's get into the coaching matchup. So how much will the coaching come into this and into play in these finals with Missoula's Missoula and then my boy Jason Kidd, J Kidd, you know what I'm saying, floor general. Coach on the floor.
It's interesting how, Jason Kidd, the tide has turned on him. Like it wasn't like this like 2 months ago. It wasn't like this in February. In February, it was like, yo, when is Jason Kidd getting fired? That was the logic on Jason Kidd. Jason Kidd was getting fired. Y'all were over him. I talked to plenty of Maverick fans. Jason Kidd doesn't understand rotations. The offense is stagnant. Why does Luka have to do as much as Luka has to do? But when I look at what they're doing now, you got to remember who Jason Kidd was. Jason Kidd is a lead guard. In the process of Jason Kidd being a lead guard, who is he focusing the offense on? The lead guard. Both him, Luka, and Kyrie Irving. So we're hunting everything that Minnesota did. It was predicated on the lead guard. It was them switching, them blitzing Luka. It was predicated on that. Jason Kidd did a great job in when Minnesota have them on the perimeter and they're hunting mismatch. Minnesota's switching, they're hunting those mismatches. And we're being patient in hunting those mismatches. We're going after. If I gotta watch Rudy Gobert on Kyrie Irving one more time, I swear I'm gonna lose my mind. I can't handle it.
You can lose your mind.
I'm gonna lose my mind and this is what I'm talking about when I talk about being able to protect guys. I don't care how good Rudy Gobert is as a defender. Scientists, I do not want David Robinson 27 feet away from the basket on Kevin Johnson. I don't. I do not want Hakeem Olajuwon 26 feet away from the basket on Jason Kidd. I don't want that. No, I don't. And as good as Rudy Gobert is as a defender, I do not want him 26 feet away from the basket on Luka Doncic. We're not switching that. No, we are not switching that. Get around that screen. So I feel like Jason Kidd, he's going to hunt mismatches. Not only is he going to hunt mismatches, he's going to play fast because he wants Boston cracking the long ball because he knows that at any point they could go cold. And that could help his game. That can help his offense. So he wants them to crack the long ball. He wants the game to be fast. Speed the game up. How do you speed the game up? Luka's been hobbled these playoffs. One thing I found out playing basketball is the ball moves a lot faster than people. So if you move in the basketball, that means people are moving. And if people are moving, the defense is off balance. So Jason Kidd wants that ball hopping. He wants that ball moving up the floor in order for them to have a shot. Now, Missoula, on the other hand, he's hunting specific mismatches. I'm on record saying I feel like their offense is their best defense. Get Luka in action. Don't let Luka off the hook with one pass to Jaylen Brown in a one-on-one situation. No, I don't want that. We got to make Luka guard. Make Kyrie Irving, even though he's given a lot more effort this postseason, make him guard. Make this dude cover guys. Make him fight around screens. Don't allow him to get ghost screen and get off the guy you want him to get up. No, go after him. Keep him in action. And if you do that, I feel like you got a shot.
Yep. That's very good. That's very, very good. That's very good analysis, Big Chill, because I was very disappointed with Luka's defense in the last series. He was letting Kyle Anderson get off. And I know that they say Kyle Anderson's game is limited, but it was just so you can't just let some guys shoot. Not against the Celtics. You can't let any of their guys shoot. You can't. This sagging off stuff. I'm just gonna rest on defense. I'm gonna play this free safety like Mr. LeBron James. It's not gonna work. So you saying them getting Luka Doncic into actions, that's gonna be a big thing for me to watch. I love seeing Luka Doncic when he came down the stretch versus the Timberwolves when he remember when he blocked the alley-oop attempt when Michael Conley came down the lane. That was huge. And then Jaden Daniels came down like a play before that. He tried to dribble drive and he went out of bounds on the baseline, threw it in, and Luka got the steal. So I want to see more defensive effort from Luka this time. He said he worked on that in the offseason, so we'll see. It'll be a great matchup. Thank you for having us on, Big Chill,
brother.
and
No doubt.
God bless.
Yep, take it light, brother. Good to talk to you. Yes, sir. Well, we got the finals coming up, man. This is where we are. Right? We got the finals coming up. This is where we are. We are down to 2. We are down to 2. And this is good, man. This is real good stuff. I'm enjoying this. So it's about that time for me. It was good to see you guys tonight. I will see you guys soon. You know where to find me. If I'm not here, I'm on the panel 11 to 2. I'm on TikTok in the morning, 9 a.m. Good morning, NBA, every morning, Monday to Friday, 9 a.m. I go from there. I'm on here. I am on here. I'm on here Mondays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. I'm on here and I do my lives. So with that being said, I'm not hard to find. I got a super chat really quick I got to get to from Reggie the Tree. Reggie says, what up, Chill? 2 questions. Better player, Brunson or Calvin Murphy? Also, if you ran a team with both at their best, who would you choose, Bernard King or Alex English, and why? Man, well, I think Bernard King was a better scorer than Alex English. I think Alex English was a better volume scorer. I think Bernard King was more skilled. The problem with Bernard King was that he wasn't really as healthy as he would like to be. I mean, Alex English had a money mid-range game. He was good in transition. He wasn't the one-on-one player that Alex English. Alex English wasn't the one-on-one player that Bernard King was. Not close. But Alex English could score it. Alex English could score it in the mid-range. He could score it in transition. But he was not the one-on-one player. So if I had to choose between those 2 guys healthy, I would have to go with Bernard King as a bucket getter. Now, Jalen Brunson, he's got one of those games where he's a smart player more than anything. And I feel like Calvin Murphy, I feel like Calvin Murphy wasn't as skilled as Jalen Brunson. He wasn't as crafty as Jalen Brunson is. Now, was he the same player? Was Calvin Murphy better? In terms of production, you could probably, especially in today's game, you could probably get some similar production. Calvin Murphy was a great one-on-one player. He had a great jump shot. He can knock down the long ball. He can knock down the mid-range. Even though it was weird looking, he could still knock it down. But if I had to choose between the 2, I'd take Calvin Murphy. So, and not by a lot. Not by a lot. And on top of that, this conversation may change. Come back, Reggie. Come back to me in another year, 2 years, because I'm not there yet with Jalen Brunson. I mean, Calvin Murphy's an all-time great. Jalen Brunson is on his way to being an all-time great. We may have a different conversation about this in another year, 2 years. So, that's my time, guys. It was good to see you guys tonight. I will see you soon. But until then, put on a suit, drink water, don't drink and drive. Hey, man, call your mother. When last time you talked to your mother? Call your mother. I will see you guys soon. But until then, take it light. But take it. Absolutely, man. It was good to see you guys tonight. I appreciate it.